Beautiful tribe, I hope that you're having an amazing day today. We've had more shark attacks, and over 75 beaches have been closed over the past week, just as predicted last week's show. Not only that, we've had more major waterline ruptures occurring. So is our water going to be safe this coming season? Whether you're swimming in it or whether you're drinking that water. And baby, somebody put the heat on high lately. And we're still 10 days away from the summer solstice here in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And already we're experiencing here in Arizona triple-digit temperatures that I've never seen this early in the season. So how is this going to affect us? Because summer hasn't even kicked in yet. And how is it going to affect wildfire season? And will it affect wildfire season at all? Some wild and concerning leaked footage that was sent to me from the moon landing, the Apollo moon landing, and even more shocking footage that I have for you today of what one of the astronauts of the Apollo said when he was asked a specific question. Quite interesting. Puts a lot of things into perspective, things that you're going to have to see for yourself. And remember last week, I had visions and reminders of the Space Challenger and what happened in the 80s with the Space Challenger disaster and the 7 astronauts. Well, right after that vision and sharing that with you, some folks in the comments sent me a link to a video, and I had no idea that apparently those 7 astronauts were found to be still alive and well, living in different parts of the country. So what's up with that? That's a little weird, right? Wouldn't you say? While yet another astronaut from the Apollo moon mission suddenly was unalived in a plane accident, just as all this truth seems to be leaking out. So are they hurrying up and trying to get ahead of the cause so the astronauts can't speak up? We're going to talk about that. All of a sudden, we're seeing astronauts passing away and some even disappearing. I'm going to clue you in on all of that today. A ship out in the, I believe it was the Atlantic, collided with a USO, an underwater submerged object. Was that object a UFO or was it Russia? Underwater submerged object. What was it exactly? And Russian military ships are now in close shot range of United States East Coast, especially Florida, as they are unloading some arms into Cuba. Something that we should definitely be alarmed about, and I'll tell you all about that today. And I have a wild picture of the sky that I took here out in Sedona a week or two ago that I'm going to share with you because it's just amazing and you got to see it for yourself. So hop aboard, beautiful friends and beautiful souls, and vibe with the tribe as we review major world events and how they may or may not relate to past predictions and prophecy, along with, of course, feeding that prediction addiction by bringing you new predictions as I do each and every week. And some of today's new predictions are going to be revolved around Paris, coming attacks on several countries. Could you potentially reside in one of these countries or cities? Big oil prices and incidents that are coming around energy resources that you're going to want to hear about. Wildfire warnings, warnings for France, Ireland, and Australia, mate. And many others, including potential concerns and newsworthy stories coming out of Antarctica in today's predictions. All this, my beautiful friends, all this and a whole lot more on this episode number 121 of Tuesday's Predictions Update. And you all know what time it is.
It's tea time, baby.
Beautiful friends, beautiful souls. Again, I hope that you're having an amazing day. It is 6/11, a magical day indeed, the 11 vibration. All about bringing in that angelic vibe right after that new moon that we just had. It's an amazing time indeed. Even with all the crazy events happening in the world, we are still living in an amazing time. And I want to welcome you for being amazing and being here with me today. Welcome to my channel. Back to my channel. If you're new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, and you want to vibe with the tribe, be sure to smash that subscribe button. And thank you for showing your love by smashing that thumbs up love button. Takes a lot of time, a lot of energy to put all this together, and I appreciate that you are here again today. And I appreciate all the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. I couldn't do it without you, and I am so grateful with infinite love and gratitude. Whether you're a member of the tribe down below on YT, or the contributions that come in through Spotify, Rumble, Chat Cash, PayPal, and all the rest, I am truly grateful. And to my friends on the Awaken Your Spirit platform, on Subscribestar, you can find the links to all that down below in the description. Remember to give me a follow on Spotify, Rumble, and all those other platforms. And I have a bunch of short videos to upload to Rumble. I just haven't had a chance yet. Good ones that you're going to have to watch there. And when I get them up, I will post links and let you know about that. Also, if you're new to the tribe, and again, starting to vibe with the tribe, we welcome you to the tribe. Down below is also the link to my newsletter. It's free. The beginning of the month, actually the very end of the month if I can, but by the first of the month usually, the monthly astrology, numerology, and everything, all the content to ensure that you didn't miss any important content, along with upcoming classes, discounts on private sessions from time to time. Check it out. It's free, and it's for you down below. Other than that, let us move on, beautiful friends, to episode number 121
Of Tea Time, baby.
We are just 10 days away from the mid-year solstice and solstice ceremonies happening globally when the magic ignites. And here in the northern half of this beautiful planet, the temperatures are already heating up to crazy levels, actually, crazy levels. And if this weather so far that we've experienced in 2024 is a sign for what's ahead of us in the rest of this year and in the future, then many places are sure in for a heap of a lot of challenges when it comes to weather and heat events. On June 6th, the new moon kicked in Gemini, and the great, wonderful time for us to ignite our intentions, especially when it comes to communication, education, and personal growth. So if you've been wanting to start a new class or a new project or any kind of new lessons, this is certainly the perfectly aligned time for you to do so. 2 days ago, on the 9th of June, we had Mars entering into Taurus, the bull. So Mars is, of course, the planet of war and conflict, but also it's all about action and drive, which is interesting because look what just occurred over in Israel with the rescue of the hostages that occurred soon after Mars entered into Taurus. No coincidences there. And for us on a personal level, when it comes to our personal lives, this alignment is all about encouraging us to take more practical, more grounded approach to all the things in our lives. This is a great time to gather some patience, just a little patience. We all could use a little patience from time to time, but also persistence, patience and persistence when it comes to building a foundation for your future success. Again, the time is amazing if you use the numbers and the numerology and astrologies to your advantage. You're definitely going to grow and succeed and be blessed in many ways. So next week on the 17th, we have the period of emotional growth. So that's going to be interesting. Emotional growth is going to start to happen when the sun enters Cancer on the 17th. So remember, this is really important, friends. Take time to focus on self-care and self-nurturing. Nurture your inner world and connect with your roots by grounding and just your roots. It's a good time to connect with ancestry too, through meditation or ancestral work. So remember that, and always remember that you are in charge of your future. Your thoughts and your words, you hear me all the time say, your thoughts and words are literally the blueprints to your future. So focus on what you want during this time period and this waxing moon phase that we're in that started on new moon. The waxing moon phase is all about growth. It's all about focusing on your intentions and goals and all of that. So do that while we are still in this waxing moon phase until we get to the full moon towards the end of the month. Take some time, again, to ground your energy. Get outside and connect with nature. I love doing that. I wanted to do that later today, but it's too hot. My thermometer says 100 degrees, and that's in the shade, and it's only 1 p.m. Woo! That's hot in the canyon. Remember, I'm in the high deserts. It's usually not that hot up here. Down in Sedona and all, yeah, it is, but not up here. So it's definitely hot. So we all have to understand that our world, our beautiful, amazing planet Earth, and all of us, all the creatures of Earth, are enduring a major, major birthing cycle right now. Predicted in many prophecies, especially the most accurate of all is the Hopi prophecies, which I've done videos on. Check them out. So this is cycle that we're going through only just begun. Only just begun. So it's going to kick in the high gear quick, especially between now and 2032. So things are going to get to a point that it's going to kind of seem surreal, almost like you're watching a movie, or sometimes feeling as if you're in a dream or some type of, again, movie scene. So that's just the reality of it. And this is going to affect each and every one of us in some way in the future, our families and so forth, and all the shifts on the planet. But remember, it leads to the time of the golden age when pure love totally envelopes the entire planet. And that's going to be really amazing. So it's really important, too, to stay focused, again, spiritually connected, and whatever works for you. Plug into your vision of your amazing future. And more so, always stay focused, even though there's bad things or negative things happening, always stay focused on the vision of the future Earth and how amazing it is and how excited it's going to be to arrive to that point in time in humanity and on the Earth. Stay focused on that. Stay plugged into those positive aspects. And more importantly, too, is to be prepared. Be prepared for all aspects, no matter what they may be. So this is a very big lesson on the planet, both universally for everybody, but also individually. And it's a lesson in this Earth University that we're attending, which they say is the hardest university in the whole universe to attend, the Earth University. So it's all a lesson. So do your best, friends. Do your best to make the best out of this life journey. Like they say, life is what you make it. And that is really true. So while also being very kind to yourself, it's very important to be kind to yourself. I see so many people that are so hard, so negative on themselves all the time. You got to shift that, friends. Remember, energy attracts energy. Being hard and rough on yourself, the universe is going to make it hard and rough on you. So be kind to yourself, knowing that whatever obstacle you may be facing or you may face in the near future, we shall always prevail. And there's a lesson in it for all of us. And once we prevail, we come out much stronger, more resilient, and, of course, much more wiser. Shark attacks, talking about wiseness, those sharks are pretty wise, pretty smart to go to the coast to look for some human meat. It's almost like they're developing a taste for human meat. So it was just last week in episode number 120 of Tea Time Predictions, in which I discussed two predictions that very quickly came into fruition, starting with my prediction of unprecedented amount of shark attacks coming in this coming season. And Spirit proved that to be right. Right after that prediction, we've had a lot happening. So the season's definitely starting out a little bit crazy, friends. It's definitely starting out with a record breaker for sharks. And that's what Spirit told if you missed it. Spirit said there'd be a record-breaking year for sharks taking over waters. Again, predicted on Tuesday's show last week. If you missed it, go back and give it a listen. So we had a shark attack in Hawaii. We had 3 people injured from shark attacks in Florida. Crazy, friends. And it's just not going to be in the United States either. It's going to be all over. There was one in Australia, too, I believe I read. 3 swimmers were attacked in Florida, 3 of them. One of them was taken out by, I believe, helicopter. 3 swimmers, including 2 teenagers, were attacked by sharks in 2 separate incidences while they were on the beaches in Walton County, Florida on Friday. So Tuesday, 3 days after Spirit told us that we were going to see a lot of that. One was a 45-year-old woman who was swimming just past the sandbar with her husband at Walton Sound Beach. And she was bitten by the shark around 1:20 p.m. South Walton Fire Company, according to the South Walton Fire Company. Crazy, crazy. My teapot's going off right now. My cup's empty. It's waiting for some tea. So there was also, again, a shark attack in Australia. There was another one in San Diego, California. So all since last Tuesday's show. Crazy, friends. It's crazy. Last year, 10 people in total were unalived by sharks. I don't know how many shark attacks there were last year. I should have looked that up. But I do know that there were 10 people in 2023 unalived by unprovoked sharks. So Spirit says to expect that number to rise significantly, more like triple that in 2024. And in case you missed those shark predictions, again, I stated that there would be it would become such a huge issue with shark attacks that they would actually end up having to post signs on beaches telling people to stay out of the water or swim at their own risk. And I'm sure they have them in some places already, but no, Spirit told me them putting them in places that you would have never expected to see shark signs. So, and Spirit also says that there's going to be many other incidences that are actually going to ruin vacationers' plans when the beaches and the beach waters are closed to the public when they go somewhere on a vacation. And again, this isn't just the United States. I see this happening. I see issues around Brazil, Cuba, the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, and many others. So it's going to be interesting. And that's one of the two predictions from last week. Next one's beach closures. And again, because of the shark attacks, some beaches were closed, obviously. So again, it was just last week where in my predictions, I mentioned that we would see record amount of beach closures due to several different reasons. Sharks being one, but there were other reasons in those predictions as well. So we just had, over the weekend, more than 75 beaches closing due to multiple handfuls of issues, starting with sharks, of course. And I stated the waters would become toxic, and even some waters testing positive for E. coli, therefore closing beaches due to that. So again, just over the weekend, more than 55 beaches alone were closed in Long Island, New York, due to bacteria. Now, I don't know if they're saying what kind of bacteria, but I'd be willing to bet it's probably some E. coli. It was bacteria scare closes 55 Long Island beaches, according to the health department. 55 Long Island beaches are now closed to swimming after the Suffolk County Health Department issued an advisory on Thursday, 2 days after the prediction. Interesting. Following heavy rainfall. So that's what they're blaming it on, heavy rain, which is possible. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that field. But heavy rainfall and heavily impacted stormwater runoff, and the health department closed the beaches for swimming due to potentially high levels of bacteria in the water. 55 beaches, friends. It was lifted on Saturday, so it was just a couple days, but it still happened in accordance to predictions. Crazy. And of course, you know now, also you're probably aware of the beaches in Walton County, Florida, where the shark attacks were. Those beaches were also closed for a while. They might still be. I'm not sure. 3 folks were sadly injured, one pretty severely by a very aggressive shark. Florida and New York were not the only ones, friends. The state of Alabama closed their beaches, also due to shark-infested waters. I would have never thought that, Alabama beaches, but yep, Alabama. That's what I read in the article this morning, or last night. So don't think it ends there, friends. Don't think it ends there. Because also the state of Massachusetts closed 18 beaches due to bacterial levels. Crazy. So overall, again, since last week's prediction of beach closures, just in the United States alone, we've seen more than 75 beach closures over the past week. So friends, it's not even summer yet. It's not even summer yet, and both my shark and beach closure predictions are pretty fresh and already happening. So what more is to come? Of course, we know there's a lot more. It's only June. It's not even solstice yet. So no doubt there's more to come, friends. Now you don't even need to be psychic to figure that one out. So Spirit also says 2024 is a preview for the years ahead, and 2025 will be even more intense, to say the least. Spirit's like people are going to have to find a new place to go swimming besides the beach. People will still go to the beaches, and there'll still be people that will go into the first few feet into the water. But I love being in the ocean personally. I love it. So expect beach closures and the sharks both to not discriminate against any other country, because it's going to happen in other countries as well. We are now hearing about the sharks in the beach in the United States, but soon we're going to hear about this news spreading globally as beach closures become more common. I see problems along the coastline of France and major beach closures around France. Closures in Hawaii, California, and again, throughout the United States. Even Australia's beaches are going to be closed for some reason. Spirit just said that in my ear. Thank you, spirits. So even our friends in Japan are going to be dealing with a serious issue that closes their beaches. This somehow feels like, to me, like it's connected to radiation. I don't know how, but that's what it felt like to me. Costa Rica and throughout Mexico, issues with beaches. And they will also be dealing with shark-infested waters. So these issues will affect tourism in several countries as well, causing people not to want to go, even canceling vacations in some places. I had a similar vision in the past, but this time it was a little different as I felt a multitude of similar incidents. So I feel beaches become unsafe in some areas, not due to bacteria or sharks, but due to fear of other types of attacks. Other types of attacks, you say? Well, yes, other types of attacks, because I see some type of small invasion on the beachgoers from the waters. I feel like I have deja vu, so I probably said this sometime in the past. And if you haven't followed me long enough, sometimes past predictions will come up because I get more details, more information, or they'll come up again, sometimes a second time as we're approaching it coming into fruition. So I saw literally this vision of these boats just speeding in on this beach and terrifying the people on the beachgoers on the waters. So I saw boats speeding towards the small beach and taking control of the area in a forceful, somewhat evil, negative fashion. I feel that some small countries and other tourist destinations with beautiful beaches will become targets for pirates and those wishing to strike up fear while sending a message. Speaking of beaches and other past predictions, remember we talked about sinkholes about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. All right, probably about a month ago, maybe episode 116 or 17 of Tea Time. So I said beach closures and I said sinkholes, but I didn't say sinkholes on beaches. So I was close, but no cigar for me. So this happened in the state of Maine. In the state of Maine, they had to shut down beaches because basically quicksand swallowed up some woman. Poor woman. I think they got her out. Scene straight out of Indiana Jones' adventure movie unfolded in the eastern coast of the United States. A tourist walking, and she wasn't even from there. It's even creepier. She'll never go back to Maine again. A tourist walking along Popham Beach in Maine suddenly felt the ground disappear beneath her. It became dangerous because the tide was coming in on the beach. And it turns out another such incident happened in recent times. A tourist caught in quicksand. Such scenes are only, I not need to read the whole article. You got the point. Quicksand. That's crazy. But they closed the beach down. Another beach closure. And this was in the state of Maine. Even in Canada, Spirit said there'll be issues with the beaches. What side? Both sides, says Spirit. Because I know I heard somebody ask, what side? West or east? Both sides. Mainly the Pacific side. Another thing Spirit shows me is large amounts of global beach erosion is going to be coming due to many factors. So it's another thing that's going to affect beaches. We're going to see a lot of, I saw a lot of visions of this last night when I was preparing this. Beaches and houses being sucked off the beaches or buildings or structures or what have you. Somebody needs to turn down the darn heat. Now it's 101. The temperature went up. It's 101 now at 1:30 in the afternoon here in the Pacific coast of Sedona, Arizona. So here in the northern hemisphere, again, summer does not even start, friends, for another 10 days. So another 10 days. But already in many places, it feels like we are in the middle of summer. July, late July into August is what the weather feels like right now. With temperatures going through the roof, friends, through the roof. And I lived out here for 5 years and never. It was really gorgeous up to about a week ago. And then somebody turned the heat up and left it up all the way, and they keep turning it up. So not what I ever expected to endure, the hottest year on record. And remember, if you go back to my weather prediction video, or even January's predictions, actually, for the whole yearly prediction, Spirit told us that we were going to have record-breaking, ungodly-like heat. So the heat's going to become a much larger issue when power grids are not only stressed from the amount of power being used, causing them to shut down, But also I see a city going dark, completely dark during a severe heat wave. One of these, again, I feel like I'm getting a couple things. One of these outages, of course, is due to a hack attack that takes out during the hot of the day. But I feel also there's going to be kind of a bit of a cover up in order to quiet people up so they don't blame it on, so they can use it to blame it on people's usage. So we have to keep our eyes out for that, friends. Because Spirit says one of them is going to be an actual cyber attack. But they're going to turn around and say it's from overusage so people don't worry about the cyber attacks, but more so to blame it on the people, using the energy to get you to use less energy. Why? Because they can. They don't need to. There's plenty of energy on this planet, and they can make lots more energy in a more sufficient way, but they choose not to. All those technologies have been invented, as you know, and suppressed, and people taken out because of it. That's all going to change, though. That's the exciting times that we are heading into and that we are in currently. So one of these cities, I believe, is Vegas, because Las Vegas, Nevada is going to have a lot of problems these summer months. And then Spirit showing me the floods they had last year, they're going to be worse this year, later on in the season. Major typhoons? Not typhoons. Oh, God, I drew a blank. What do we get out here? A lot of rain. Just say a lot of rain, friends. A whole lot of rain. Chicago may be another one that pops in my mind. But I also see major issues for the folks in India. The heat is going to get so bad that people are going to flee to higher elevations. Now, the native elders said that to their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that it's going to get so hot you got to flee to higher ground where it's cooler. Interesting. So Spirit said that's happening in India. And in some areas, folks are going to unfortunately be unalived from the heat right in the streets. I had visions of people right in the streets just keeling over. And to me, I feel like there's a viral video or a news story that's going to show this. Bodies from the heat. And of course, it's going to be used really to push more fear on the climate upon the people. But prayers to the people in India, they're going to need it, and surrounding areas. So, of course, when it comes to heat, there's also fire. And in many cases, anyway, I see some type of huge fire hitting India, back to India. And this seemed really major because I saw structures burning as well, like buildings or what have you. As if I was looking at a city being consumed by flames. It reminded me of Lahaina a bit. And India is going to have issues with fire in several places, including a wildfire-like scenario. And one fire caused somehow by a fuel tank or oil fuel spill that causes a major, quite large fire. And I was looking at the map, and I didn't finish, but I was looking at Canada, and I don't have my Google Maps up now. So I'll have to touch more on fires next week, but that's the one wildfire. And yes, wildfires will be out of hand. We will see smoky cities again, especially on the East Coast. That's where I was. Was it Calgary? I got to look at the map. Right up on the border of Washington. Let me bring up the map, actually, because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't look at Google Earth. There it is. And I'll move on until this loads, because it usually takes forever to load. Let's talk about water shortages for a moment and attacks and ruptures on water. Because it was just a few weeks back that in predictions where Spirit warned cities would be disrupted from odd amounts of water main breaks. Only days after that prediction, we saw what played out in Atlanta, Georgia, which was quite disastrous for the folks there. And I remind you that water main ruptures are not uncommon. They're actually very, very common, as I talked about when we addressed this a couple weeks ago. Very common. The difference this time is Spirit said it would be very different because it would cause major disruptions, like taking out the whole city, just like Atlanta. Exactly what happened in Atlanta. So expect, this is exactly what the folks in Atlanta experienced. So be aware of that. So in the comments, folks pointed out similar water main break issues that caused outages and boil alerts in Calgary, Canada, problems with the water in the United Kingdom, and many other places. So Spirit warns that we should have a large reserve of water in our prep closets if you prep. Hopefully you're somewhat of a prepper and you got some things prepped, food and all the things you may need in case of an emergency or in case of a lockup or lockdown, and also a way to cook your food. But Spirit says water. Now, I usually have at least 25 gallons of water because I go fill up my 7-gallon things myself. I just filled them up the other day, so I always keep them filled, especially in the summer because there's a line usually down there at the water spring, and I just like to go at night, fill them all up, and only have to go once a month instead of every week. Yeah, so it's important to be prepared. Now, I see places like India having major issues with water shortages and storms that cause folks, again, to flee areas. So India is going to be hitting, and I see this in parts of China as well. China is going to be dealing with tainted waters from storms and a disruption bringing no water to parts of China during sweltering heat in one particular city in China. It almost feels to me that the government shuts it off on purpose in China, this one area. That's sad. And not that people in China can watch our videos because everything in America is banned in China, or we'd send them a little warning. But we have friends here in the United States that are connected to China. Warn your friends. Warn your friends. Have a backup of water. So I believe I touched base on this a few weeks back, just in case I did not. I see what feels to me to be an attack on the waters in Chicago, parts of Florida, Miami, potentially being one of them. They're going to be dealing with temporary issues with clean water. So they're not going to be maybe a boil alert. And I think, and I would imagine that this is going to be caused from a large hurricane. And that's going to affect, of course, the waters. I even see water being trucked in. I had a vision of water being trucked into a certain area of Florida. And I had that same vision in New York City or nearby suburbs of New York City, where they were trucking in water. And part of me, again, still feels like this was related to big storms, at least the one in New York and Florida. So I did many other predictions revolved around water, of course, in episode, I believe it was, I forget, 119? Episode 119, I believe. So check it out if you missed it. Let me pull up this map and show you where I was looking at last night with Canada. Wildfires. But I would expect, yes, fires also to hit parts of France, wildfires. And I feel like much of that, of course, is going to be intentionally set because France is going to have their hands full when we get down to the time of the Olympics, which is right during the Mercury retrograde. How about that? So what I was seeing was wildfire right above. It was, it was Calgary, right along the border of Calgary and Washington, right in that mountainous kind of area. And then I was seeing wildfire right along the edge of Ontario in Minnesota, Wisconsin, or around the Great Lakes. I thought I took note of that, but I didn't because I didn't finish map scrying because the nieces were here and we went out to dinner. So moving right along, Space Challenger and the trip to the moon. And baby, we're taking a trip to the moon, or maybe not. Check it out. This is pretty interesting, friends. So just last week, I shared with you a vision and a prediction. And remember, when it comes to visions, especially visions that Spirit shows me, well, visions are usually easier, but some things, again, need to be interpreted. And not everything that Spirit's showing me is exactly what they're trying to tell me sometimes, if you understand that. Usually, after decades of doing this work, I'm pretty good at interpreting things, whether it's from Spirit or from your dreams. So last week, I had a vision, and Spirit reminded me of the Space Challenger disaster that happened in the late 80s, and I remember that very clearly. I actually believe I still have the front page of newspaper article. I think I saved it. I think it's in my closet storage. I bet you it is. Let's try to dig that out and show you. It's interesting. I think it's even ripped. I think it got ripped. But yeah. So anyway, I was telling you about that. So I took this as a sign that we would witness another huge, another such event would occur around a space shuttle, which I still do believe and feel that this is going to be the case. But someone pointed out something very interesting in the comments last week and put a link to a video. I'll try to remember, and when we're live in the group chat, I'll put a link to the video. You can listen for yourself. But apparently somebody has tracked and found all 7 of those astronauts who allegedly perished in the Challenger incident. So could this be what Spirit was talking about? Was Spirit trying to convey that truth is about to emerge? Not only about NASA, but also their trash pile of lies and deception that we've been dealing with for so long. So why would they want to deceive us, people would say? Well, here's an interesting theory. Not my theory, but a really good friend's theory. And I thank my friend for his theory. So this is a theory and a potential scenario. So perhaps 7 astronauts really did go up in the Challenger, and it did explode as we witnessed. If you were alive and witnessed it at that time, I remember watching it. Think about this. Again, hypothetically speaking. Clearly, we remember witnessing this. I do as a kid, so it happened as far as I'm concerned, as far as the TV showed me. But perhaps, again, it all did happen, but a UFO intervened. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, a UFO intervened and saved all 7 astronauts, leaving NASA, in a bind, a big bind, not willing to divulge such information to the public because they've been hiding the whole existence of that as is. So they couldn't, tell us, so therefore they said that they all perished, even though they relatively would have if they weren't saved by the UFO. Again, I'm not saying that's really what happened at all. I'm just theorizing here, and this is just a theory that was posted to me from a friend. But I do want to know what you think in the comments down below. And, again, go down that rabbit hole on your own. I started to. I haven't finished, but I will eventually go completely down that rabbit hole. I remind you, though, and for those who are not aware, NASA was founded and ran by one of Adolf's top scientists, who was brought over here into the United States with 100 or over 100 other of Adolf's men in an operation called Operation Paperclip. So NASA is more than, and perhaps not at all, an actual space exploration corporation. So I encourage you again to look deeper into the Challenger incident in the 80s, and you be your own judge of the truth. I just present this information, you be the own judge. But I will also say, there is no coincidences, friends, and Spirit showed me that vision and that reminder of the past Challenger disaster, so no doubt there's truth that will be revealed in the future, not only about the Challenger, but also NASA as a whole, and of course, the so-called moon landing as well. So we're going to witness a lot of truth being divulged, whistleblowers coming out of NASA, big time. And they're going to do what like Boeing is, try to make them disappear very quickly one after another, but there'll be too many and too strong of a support system, and it's time for that truth to be revealed according to the spirits. Speaking of moon landings and Apollo, and the alleged moon landing, did you hear the latest? Yet another one of the astronauts from the Apollo mission, moon mission, astronaut Apollo 8, William Anders, who took ironic Earthrise photo, perishes in a plane crash. William Anders, a NASA astronaut who was a part of the 1968 Apollo 8 crew, who were the first 3 people to orbit the moon. I laugh because wait until you see what I'm going to show you next. And prayers to him and his family. That's sad. But his plane supposedly went down in San Juan County, or went down off the coast. Oh, now that makes me remember something else I said. Remember in the past I said I saw a plane going down right along the coast in the waters that reminded me of JFK, and I said it would be somebody important. Some people were thinking maybe it was like Trump or somebody like that. This may or may not be related, but he was an important person, and his plane did go down right on the coastline. So just a thought that popped in my brain. But prayers to him and his family. Interesting that all of a sudden that this is happening. This happens coincidentally. I don't know about that. I don't believe in coincidences, friend. FYI, just in case you were wondering. As more and more information and footage is all of a sudden coming into the light around the Apollo mission, and all of a sudden they're starting to disappear. So, I'm not going to show you, I am going to show you 2 very interesting clips, friends. 2 interesting clips. And remember, be your own judge. And this is always for entertainment purposes only, friends. Entertainment purposes only. This footage, first we have this leaked footage, alleged leaked footage. And before I show you this, I want to also predict that all the truth around the Apollo mission, Apollo 8 mission, moon mission, will be revealed within the next decade, perhaps by the turn of the decade by 2030. So check this out. Watch this clip closely, friends, and pay very, very close attention to the right side of this clip. And also pay attention to the response of the astronaut/actor in this video. So it's really quite interesting, to say the least. Look, check it out. So let me play it again. Again, I'll play it a second time. But watch this closely. Wow, what's that falling in the background, right? And again, just let me play it a second time so that we can be fair here. We do not really know if this footage, to be fair, we don't know if this footage actually has anything to do with the Apollo mission. We really don't know. For all we know, this could be footage, obviously, actually from a movie set. A movie set from perhaps a movie of some sort. But what movie? That's my question. What movie exactly? What movie? Why does the film footage look like it's from the 1960s? Just saying. Or should I say, for what event? Like, what event did this happen? Like, this footage. You see it. You saw it. I want to know what you think in the comments down below. I find it to be very, very interesting. Of course, they'll debunk it, and I'm sure it's already debunked, but you know it probably, and when they try to debunk something, you know that it's opposite. It's bunked, baby. It's real. So we'll have to see. But again, you be your own judge. Now, check out this footage and listen very, very carefully, friends, to the Apollo astronaut and what he says when he's asked the question from this little girl. Again, listen very, very carefully, friends. The truth. He reveals the truth, friends. He literally reveals the truth, and and if you watch, it seems like he has no idea that he's revealing the truth. Check it out.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. Because there's no gravity. And I'm a diver, scuba diver, and when you get down underneath the water, you're floating. That's just like in space. The biggest part is start to move. You make waves or... No, I already said.
Thank you.
You very, very well.
So he says we didn't go there, and that is what happened. We didn't go there, and that is what happened. All right, a little interesting. And it would be nice to know why it happened, he says. So we didn't go there, and that is what happened. And it would be nice to know why it happened. And I am a scuba diver. A scuba diver? Thought he was an astronaut. No, he said, I'm a scuba diver. So what is it? Scuba diver? Astronaut? Actor? Who knows? Who knows? But we will know in the future. So remember that. Let us move on to In Other News. In other news today, you probably heard by now that Russia is playing their little games, their little war games that they do, tests or whatever they call it, practice. But they're closing in very much on the United States of America. They are in distance, close enough distance to take out the whole East Coast with what they are carrying on their ships as they are moving into Cuba. A Russian naval and nuclear-powered submarine conducted missile drills in the Atlantic Ocean while en route to Cuba. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Tuesday the drills by the submarine Kazan and the warship Admiral, I don't even know what that word is, involved a high-precision missile at mock enemy targets from a distance of up to 370 miles. Very, very concerning, friends, to say the least. To say the least. But you know they did that for a reason. The first main reason that Russia's doing that is because what JB just said moments after Trump was called guilty. He went and called UKR and told them that they can fire U.S. weapons into Russia. So Russia's making a very, very clear point right here. Making a sign, sending a clear message. So if that's not bluntly sending a message to America, then I don't know what is, friends. I don't know what is. And to me, this is a dire warning to the United States and Russia that Russia is doing what the U.S. has done in the past, arming their allies. It's exactly what they're doing, just like the U.S. has been doing for decades, generations. So Russia certainly is and will be unloading all types of arms into Cuba, according to Spirit. I had a vision of them unloading big stuff, unloading it right into Havana and many other countries as well. They actually admitted to this on Russian television, saying that they were arming up 7 countries. And I forget what they all are. Syria, of course, is one. Iran, of course, is another. But 7 countries. And now we know Cuba's one of them as well. So now watch, friends, you watch. I'd be willing to bet that they're going to use United States, being there's patents on this weather technology, to drive a massive hurricane right into Cuba. Remember my vision last year? It was a year ago I had a vision. Sometimes things we think are going to happen right away, and sometimes they do. Look at all the stuff that happened since last week. Sometimes things take 1 year to 3 years to come into fruition. And I saw a massive storm being driven into Cuba. And it didn't happen. I expected it last year, probably like you did too. But sometimes, again, it takes a little longer. Now it would make sense why they would want to do that. Right? Now there's an actual excuse, a very good excuse for them to do so. And interestingly, when I was doing my Google Earth scrying last night before dinner and I got cut off, Havana kept jumping out at me, and now I remember that was jumping out at me, and then I had to get up and take the girls out to dinner. And then I didn't go back to the map scrying when I got back because I had to finish up and go to bed eventually. But that kept popping out at me, and I wasn't sure why. And this is before I even knew about the whole Cuba thing, because I didn't know about that till later. So Havana jumped out at me very strongly. So I'm going to say something is going to hit Havana, Cuba. Either a massive storm or whatever it is, it's going to hit like a hurricane, whether it be a hurricane or something else, but it's going to hit like that. Speaking of hitting, did you see that there was a ship in an investigation now underway because a ship collided with an underwater object and took on water in Lake Superior, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. The U.S. and Canadian officials are investigating after a 689-foot ship collided with an underwater object and began taking on water in Lake Superior. The U.S. Coast Guard says the agency responded after the bulk carrier sent a report at 6:53 a.m. Saturday that it was experiencing flooding as it traveled southwest of the Isle Royale in Lake Superior. So what was it, friends? Can't blame it on Russia. It was in Lake Superior. Can't blame it on them. Of course, they probably will blame it on them, but it wasn't them. Definitely wasn't them. And, you know, it's interesting. Don't these ships have, like, radar that tells them there's something under the water or they're about to be hit by something? Like there has to be. So why did they not see anything? The ship anchored in Thunder Bay, Ontario on Sunday and will be brought to the dock once Canadian agencies deemed it safe. I did feel like it wasn't of this planet. And it was an accident. Like, they didn't mean to hit the ship. It just accidentally, they were flying through the water and hit the ship. We'll be seeing more things related to that in the near future, according to Spirit. Another thing we're hearing about, as predicted in the past, is more push of the bird flu. The first person, according to the WHO, has been unalived by the bird flu. Yep. First human from the new bird flu. Oh, a new bird flu strain. According to who? Who? The World Health Organization has confirmed the first person in Mexico, actually, I didn't know it was Mexico, to be unalived by the bird flu. It was a 59-year-old. Doesn't say man or woman. April 24th. April, and we're now in June, and they're just now telling us this? After being hospitalized in Mexico City. Now, what did we say about Mexico City and big things happening and people fleeing Mexico City? Remember those visions? That was a couple weeks ago when we were talking about water. I told you they have a water shortage. Interesting. Are they dumping something there in Mexico City? 59-year-old woman. That's sad. That's young. Too young to pass from a flu. So personally, we're all entitled to our own opinions, right? Opinions are like they say, like, well, I'm not even going to say. Opinions are like, you know what? We all got one. So anyway, at least for now, we still have our ability to have our own opinions. For now, as we still have some of our rights of freedom and speech left. Some, not much, but some. And in my opinion, I personally don't believe anything that comes from who? Who? Nothing. I don't buy it. This bird flu will sadly continue, and poultry prices are going to skyrocket, especially by 2025. In some countries, poultry is going to become inexpensive. It's already expensive, but a really expensive delicacy, kind of like filet mignon was back in the day, right? So, for the rich. Also, bird lovers, be prepared, because in some areas, they're going to demand citizens take down all their bird feeders. And in some stores, including Walmarts in some towns in the United States, but other countries too, are going to stop carrying bird food to encourage people to stop feeding the birds. Hey, that's my thing, man. I get up every morning, I turn on my teapot, and I go outside and take care of my chipmunks, my birds, and my blue starlings, and everybody else. They're all out there waiting for me every morning. So the bird flu is indeed a true threat, not only to birds, but to us as well. And I remember a few years back seeing outside of my bird feeder, seeing sick birds. Some of them had swollen eyes, appearing to be partially blind or fully blind, some of them. And I knew something wasn't right. So I know that's what it's connected to. On a positive note, I haven't seen any lately, and that was a couple years ago I was seeing that. I don't remember seeing it last year. But yeah, a couple years ago, I was seeing it a lot. I was like, what's going on with the birds? Why are they all looking weird and have like stuff oozing out of their eyes? It was really disturbing. So on a positive note, though, even though we're about to witness multiple outbreaks and new diseases, this is actually in the long run going to help humanity to eventually evolve to the point where humans are resistant to most, if not all, diseases and illnesses. And we will also live a lot longer in the future Earth as well. Something that we can all remain very optimistic about. Don't you agree? Baby Biden, guilty. Isn't it ironic that both DT and Baby Biden are now convicted felons? And there's still those folks out there who do not see that there is actually a political war happening right now in our country. And they're using the corrupt justice system as a way of weapon, a way of war. No doubt about it. And JB says that he's not going to pardon his son. Why? Well, because they probably won't let him, number one, because it'll look bad for him. It's election season. But not only that, here's the main reason, friends. Because he's not going to, his prison stay is going to be like house arrest. It's exactly what it's going to be like. He might even just get house arrest. And he's going to receive the prince treatment. He's got a little princess is going to come in. So do not be shocked at all. Also to see DT pushed into a jail cell right next to Baby B. Maybe they'll put them side by side. Just because they're all crazy. That's why. Even though he really probably, in the DT case, should only receive a fine, just like Hillary Clinton did when she should have went to jail for that and didn't. She paid a fine. And all the other people that were convicted from the same things all just received fines and a little slap on their hands. But, being that Baby B's going into the slammer, they're going to try to push DT in there too. So don't be surprised if you don't spend it 30 days or they try to get them to spend 30 days in there. I mean, and they picked the date July 11th for a reason. 7/11, friends. 7/11, the 11th day. It's a day they always use and it's right before the big convention thing. So yeah, they picked that for a reason. No doubt about it. So whatever is going to go on, I have no doubt that they're going to, no matter what, no doubt they're going to try to take out DT in any way they can, and I feel like they are totally going to fail at that. At the same time, that he's going to end up back in the White House, because I said it back in the year 2016, and I go back to my original prediction. My original predictions was that he would serve 2 terms in the White House and pass away in the 3rd year of his 2nd term. So I still stick with that prediction. Spirit hasn't told me anything different. The only thing I got wrong, like everybody, is I thought it would have been back-to-back terms. Apparently it's not. Here's the other thing, friends. I said it before, but I'll say it again. I also feel strongly that the elections somehow or another are going to be pushed into 2025 due to some kind of major world event that hits not just the United States, but a global world event. So it's going to be a wild political and global ride unlike anything we'd imagine. Also remember, JB is in his 3 personal year in numerology. Therefore, when we get to the month of October, that's going to rule over his health. October is his 4 personal vibration for the month of October. The 4 vibration is notorious for bringing up health concerns, but also for survival. People pass. Queen Elizabeth was an example, passed in her 4 personal year. It's not his 4 personal year, but it is his 4 month. Here's another important thing for everybody. October is always an important month for next year when it comes to numerology. So, for example, again, Biden is in his 3 personal year. October is his 4 month, but next year is his 4 year. So whatever the month of October, how that goes for you is always a representation of how next year is going to go for you. So you always want to plan and make October your best month. You can always promote things for next year through October. So, for example, I'm going to take a trip back to the East Coast in October for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, depends. And I'm doing that purposely to also activate more travel for next year. I'm going to take more days off from clients and such so that I have more days off next year. Where does this come in with Biden? Again, he's in his 4 year, so I see those health issues happen. He might actually pass in the month of October before his birthday, because his birthday is November. When is his birthday? November 11th or November, something like that. But I know that he's in his 3 year. And if he don't pass by the elections, he's definitely out by next year. But remember, I said that he would pass, and I saw Kamala taking oath for a very short period of time. So it's coming. Now look at what's coming in the skies in Sedona, Arizona, friends. Check out this little pictures. I took these pictures outside because I just thought the sky looked so wild. I'm like, that doesn't look normal. You know, it's this kind of sky you see in the fall, actually. It's the fall skies like we see back east in the autumn skies. Look at this picture. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is right in front of my house, by the way. I am so blessed. Look at that view. But look at that orange clouds. Wild. I thought that you would like to see this photo. That's why I wanted to share it with you today. So let me move on with some specific predictions for our future. Some other predictions to feed that prediction addiction, friends. That prediction addiction. Antarctica. Antarctica is a place that we are going to be hearing an awful lot about in the near future in between now and the year 2030. Starting with a huge warm-up, which I had visions of about 2 years ago. So I would expect that that's coming this year, by latest next year for sure. 2 to 3 years, some predictions. So if it's not this summer, definitely next summer. And I think summer is opposite in Antarctica than us. So I think they're going into the winter months. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Sometimes I could be geographically challenged, especially with seasons. So yeah, they're going to be huge. We're going to hear so much, and I see a huge warm-up. And the warm-up I see is on one side of the Arctic, not both sides, or not the whole Arctic. I mean, the whole Arctic's warming up, no doubt. But it seems like one side just has this big, huge warm-up is my feeling. And this huge warm-up, Spirit shows me, is going to reveal amazing lost civilizations. It's also going to be too large to cover up because, you know, they've been covering up those lost civilizations in Alaska for a long time. We know that. This is going to be too big. And it's actually going to be another country, I'm perhaps thinking it's going to be Russia, that's actually going to reveal this information in the footage when it actually is revealed, when the ice melts there. So, and that's how they're not going to be able to cover it up, because someone like Russia is going to come and be like, you want to cover it up? We're going to show footage of it, which is going to be awesome. That's also going to reveal, they're going to reveal information and footage, but Spirit also shows me plants and flowers emerging from the melting ice and tells me there are amazing cures for diseases that shall emerge in the Arctic. There is also going to be a release of an ancient bug, a virus. The good thing about that is I feel like it's very short-lived, a short-lived threat. They'll get it under control fast. Next, I see a sabotage of sorts when it comes to oil drilling wells. And my feeling is that it's going to be quite obvious that there's an attack by those who are against big oil and against drilling. You know, that one side over here on my left, connected to that in some way, or the environmentalists. I don't know, but to me, they're not going just after refineries. And I feel like in my visions that I saw, I feel and believe that most of this will occur next year in 2025. But I do feel the start of this is on our doorsteps right now, so we're going to see it soon. This is not just an attack or setting fire to oil refineries. This is bigger, friends. This is what I saw, folks sneaking into oil drilling sites like California and Texas and setting them on fire. Even making them go boom. Which could lead again to wildfires, which wouldn't be good at all. So let's hold in the light this doesn't happen, and let's hope that these crazy, cray people get caught beforehand and before preventing, to help prevent a environmental disaster. Back to the subject of our water, I see a rather large city having an issue with septic waters leaking into their drinking water. I predicted issues with drinking water about a month ago, and according to the commenters, I believe it was the UK that was dealing with this kind of an issue and needing to boil their water. At the same time, I feel like this vision of the leaking septic water is somewhat different. So it's not the UK, it's different. It hasn't happened yet. I also feel a drinking water issue is going to hit parts of Italy as well. I don't know why, but our friends in Italiano. I'd love to go there. That'd be a good place to go see. Separately, but still on the same subject of water again, Spirit keeps showing me Chicago and shows me that Chicago should be aware of potential water shortages due to events in Chicago that are going to affect the water in many parts and suburbs. I see severe flooding coming to many parts of Florida and once again to Texas. Even though the heat is going up, the coming storms are going to continue to bring flash flooding to severe flooding. I see more flooding coming to Western Australia, mate. I can't hold myself. I also see a vision of flooded streets in England, parts of the United Kingdom, and one particular storm feels to me to be a very odd freak storm that seems to appear out of nowhere. That's for the UK. Just out of nowhere. It's not out of nowhere. I'm sure they're whipping that up in their in their cauldrons. So I see several issues coming to the Gulf of Mexico, beginning with some type of spill. This spill may or may not be related to the second part of this Gulf Coast prediction. I also see major beach erosion due to a massive storm surge. Likely this is coming from a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. Also, keep an eye out for Hurricane Milton. I looked at the list this morning, and it jumped out at me, Hurricane Milton. More likely, that Milton will be like sometime around late August, early September, right when we're in that energy shift. That's when big things are going to happen. If you missed my hurricane prediction weather video, I went through all the names of the hurricanes, both for the Atlantic and the Pacific, did their numerology, and a lot of map scrying to give you accurate predictions for weather. Many of them already came into fruition. A lot of them already came into fruition. That's why I'm going to do a new weather video in the near future. But if you missed my weather hurricane prediction and hurricane season's here, you're going to want to check that out. I'll make sure a link pops up or go directly to my channel. I see major attacks coming to embassies. I said it in the past, but I got more of it, so I would expect one's coming maybe in the next week. Spirit warned again of this in the past, and we did witness it. When Spirit warned us about this, there was one in Beirut that happened right after Spirit Bear told us. I don't know how long ago it was, month, 2 months ago. So I feel like that there's a plan that's already been hatched to hit several embassies, either all at the same time or one after the other. Months ago, I predicted that we would see another Benghazi type of hit on an embassy. being as this is coming up again today and last night, I believe that we are going to see a much more well-orchestrated plan come into fruition. And I would believe we will see this play out very, very soon. Paris, our friends. Oui, oui, monsieur. I warned Paris again and again, but for the past few days, I could not get Paris or the Paris Olympics out of my brain. Kept coming up, coming up, and coming up. So I feel like the city should probably be locked down, to be safe. I know that's not possible or whatever, especially for the Olympics, but that's, to me, I feel like if they're not locked down, otherwise many people are going to pay a large price. Multiple attacks happening in Paris and throughout France. This will force France to make a retaliating response, and will do so with help from likely the United States, which makes me feel there will also be attacks at the same time, likely here in the United States. Remember, I had my visions and my channeled predictions last year in November, channeled predictions, where I saw multiple attacks happening all at the same time in several countries. This is probably related to that. Not sure, but it kind of feels and sounds like it is related to that. And again, a retaliating response from them with the help from the United States, potentially, likely. Spirit shows me that Iran is behind this coming attack, or the attacks. Iran and ISIS and other their radical friends. And interesting enough that the Olympics begins right at the end of July during the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. And that's going to continue to mid-August, right around the next major, huge energy shift. You've been following me long enough, you know the crap hits the fan every time we're in an energy shift. That's the whole month of August, and that's when these Olympics are. And they start right at the retrograde. It just seems a little odd, like it was planned perfectly for that horrible time to plan. So huge events are going to take place in that window of time, end of July till the beginning of September. I warn our friends in Ireland and Scotland, as I feel y'all are in for some off-the-wall weather in the coming months, including storms that bring extreme winds, almost even like tornado winds or hurricane winds. And I'm thinking that this is likely connected to a major hurricane of sorts hitting Ireland, parts of Scotland, tropical storm. I also saw beach erosion in some areas in my visions. And I really have this strange feeling that Russia is going to somehow intervene. This sounds weird, I know. Hear me out. I feel Russia is somehow going to intervene with preventing a disastrous attack. And interesting enough, it might even be a disastrous attack against the United States. And all of a sudden they intervene. I know it sounds far-fetched. I know it sounds a bit off the wall, especially with current relationships between Russia and the U.S. I hear you. It almost feels like, to me, something another country or a group of radicals, more likely a group of radicals, such as ISIS, pose an attack in which Russia intervenes because they're against whatever they're doing. I mean, that's the only thing I can make out of it. And this could be something we don't see playing out for the next year or two. So not necessarily in the very, very near future. And with that said, friends, you've got mail. I got mail. And I opened it up already because I couldn't wait. And it's from Dorsey and Anthony. A huge thank you, dear Joseph. Just wanted to thank you. You're just brilliant. I can't read that. I don't have glasses. But look what they sent me. It's so cool. Thank you, Dorsey and Anthony. They sent me this fabulous piece of fluorite. Fluorite. Watch, I'm going to take this light and shine it through because it's really cool. Wait. Watch when you shine a light through. Ooh. That is like a beautiful, thick, gorgeous piece of fluorite. Gorgeous. With a little stand that it sits on, like so. Put this behind me. I like to try to find some kind of light to put behind it because it does look really good with the light. Gorgeous, gorgeous item. Thank you so much, Dorsey and Anthony, with infinite love and gratitude. Someone also sent me a letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter online, but thank you for the letter. I did receive it. I don't have it in front of me to say who it's from, but I'm sure you know who it's from if you sent it. I meant to mention that a week or two ago and totally forgot. Other than that, my beautiful friends, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Tuesdays Tittel Teatime Predictions Update. Tomorrow, you are not going to want to miss my Edgar Casey predictions, shocking predictions for 2024 and beyond. I worked on it all weekend. It's a half hour, 27 minutes long to be exact. That premieres tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please do check it out. I'll leave a link right up here above so that you can hurry up and go and click the notification, notify me so you don't miss, and hang out in the chat room tomorrow for Edgar Casey's shocking predictions for 2024 and beyond. Other than that, friends, thanks so much again. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your love. Thank you for making it this far in the video. Remember to be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. Celebrate life, celebrate you, and be good to yourself, friends. Be good to you. Nurture yourself. It's important with current astrological alignments. It's important all the time, but especially during these astrological alignments. Other than that, remember to be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Let your light shine, baby. Let it shine. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.